All right, I want to show you something else. I want to show you how to use the completion tracker on Moodle to make content available only after students have finished something else. All right, so let me show you what I mean. So here in my course, I have a question that they need to answer. It's a multiple choice question, and then I have a page that contains the correct answer to this question. Now, obviously, what I don't want is I don't want the students to just check the correct answer and then answer the understanding check. So I need to make sure that the correct answer is only shown after they have answered the understanding check. Now, obviously, if I make this a real quiz, I could just handle these things in the quiz, but there are other instances where I want to use completion. Maybe I want the students first to watch a video and then to do something else, or I want to have some control over the order in which they do stuff, things like that. Right, so if I keep everything as it is now, I have no control over in what order they are doing things. So in order to get there, I need to go to the course settings again and make sure that completion tracking is on. Now, this should usually be on by default, but if it's not, you can change it here. Right, so enable completion tracking, yes. Back to the course. Well, if you haven't done so yet, we need to turn editing on. So, all right, so here we have our understanding check and then the correct answer. And any activity that has this check mark here to the side is something where you can use completion tracking. Now, what I want to do now, I want to make sure that I'll track whether this question has been answered and then make this answer conditional, the appearance of that answer conditional on that check having been completed. So I go into the settings for the understanding check here, and I have this activity completion. Now there are different settings for different types of activities. Now most of them all have this: students can mark this activity as completed. So that just means that a student can just click a check mark and then it counts as completed. Now most of the time we probably don't want that, because it doesn't necessarily mean that they have actually engaged with something. Right? So we want instead to use show the activity as complete when conditions are met, and then set appropriate conditions. Now here, for this particular poll, for this choice here, I can make it conditional on they have to view this, then it's complete, or they have to actually submit feedback. And in this case, I choose the latter. So it only counts as complete once you actually chosen an answer here. Now return to the course. All right, so here we are. So you can see there's now a dashed line around this check mark, and that means that there are actually conditions that need to be fulfilled before it gets marked as complete, and students can't just mark it as complete as they see fit. All right, and now next we want to make sure that this here only appears after the other activity has been completed. So again, we go to edit settings, and what we want to do now is we want to restrict access. Oops. There we go. So we want to add a restriction. Now you probably know already restrictions based on grades or maybe user profiles, but here we want to use activity completion. So here are all the things that could potentially be marked as complete. So here's my understanding check, and that must be marked as complete. Right? So here you can imagine if you had a quiz or something, you could show different things depending on whether people have a pass grade or a fail grade. Right? So maybe you want to congratulate on doing really well, so you make this available only when they have passed something, or you want to say, okay, encourage them to do more if they have a failing grade. So here I just want to make it available, so I'm happy with just must be marked as complete. All right, that's all I need. So again, we save it. There we go. Here you see the restricted now. So let's see how this looks like for the students. All right, so this is here. All right, so if I wanted to click on the correct answer here, I can't do it. All right, so it says here it's only available if I have marked this as complete. Now, because here this has a dashed line, I can't mark it complete myself, but you see here, I could, for example, mark my module timetable as complete. So I haven't actually turned that off. It's kind of pointless that it's there. Anyway, so I now need to answer this question here. All right, so now I'm at the question. So how do you call a change that leaves at least one person better off and nobody worse off? Now every economist should know that this is a Pareto improvement. So I'm submitting my answer. And now the correct answer is available, right? So I could just click here, or let me show you on the page that it's actually now available. Right, so you see here the restriction has been lifted, and I can now have a look and see, okay, the correct answer is Pareto improvement, and then I could, maybe add some extra information to it. Right, so it might make sense to turn off the completion checker on some questions where you don't want it. Yeah, so in order to make it not confusing. But that's kind of up to you. I mean, it doesn't hurt for them to now mark this as complete when they read it. All right, I want to show you one last thing. So under reports here, you also get an activity completion report. So this allows you to see where all your students are, right? So if you turn activity completion on, you can see who has done what, right? And especially you can keep track of people who are behind. Right, so haven't done what they are supposed to do. So I think this is really nice. Obviously nothing here has been tracked yet, but it could be quite useful to know well, who's behind and who's not doing the stuff they're supposed to do. All right, so that's really all I had to say about activity completion. I hope you find this useful.